Nomvuyo, the rand above 730 towards the end of last week, really as risk aversion came into the market. We're seeing a little bit of strength coming through this morning, down around 728, 729. Do you think that the news that HSBC is talking to Old Mutual and Nedbank could be helping to strengthen the rand again?
It well could be, Stephen, but I think when it comes to that deal, all we really know is that they're in talks at the moment, and so there's a great deal of uncertainty. There are no details other than that available. So it could be that the rand strengthened slightly on the back of that, but I would not want to ascribe too much to that announcement.
Of course, we know that Old Mutual has already applied to the Reserve Bank to externalise £1.5 billion of the proceeds of that deal if it does go ahead. And I assume there are other foreign shareholders as well in Nedbank who would take that money offshore. So even if the deal does go, it's unclear how much of that money would come into South Africa and how much would go offshore.
Yeah, that's exactly it, Stephen. I mean, if we knew for certain that all of the proceeds would come into South Africa, then of course we would have expected the rand to strengthen significantly on the expectation of that FDI. But as it stands, no details have been made clear yet.
Just looking at the rand and the movements we saw towards the end of last week, and of course we had some negative economic data again coming out of the United States. Nothing much on Friday to drive the currency. Is it still really a dollar play at this stage?
That's certainly what we think, Stephen. It looks like investors have gone back to the traditional safe havens, and so ironically, despite poor US data, the dollar continues to do well.
We're looking at some data out in South Africa this week. GDP tomorrow for the second quarter, not expected to be quite as buoyant as the first quarter. We've also got inflation data. What are you looking for on those fronts, and do you think they could be market moving for the currency?
Well, Stephen, as far as GDP is concerned, we're expecting that growth moderated to about 3.6% in the second quarter from 4.6% in the first quarter. We're also expecting that inflation, as far as CPI is concerned, we're expecting that this will be the trough of the cycle and that inflation will start to climb thereafter. So, you know, I think we'd be waiting on that data to get some clarity on what the Reserve Bank's expected to do at the MPC. We still think that rates will remain on hold, but of course the outcome of that data is going to carry quite a bit of weight.
In the meantime, of course, strike action continuing. We had the auto sector settling on Friday. It looks like Impala Platinum's also reached agreement with its unions, but the public sector strike ongoing at this stage, and that must be weighing a little bit on the currency as well.
Oh, absolutely, Stephen, particularly as the strike becomes more violent, and government has now obtained an interdict against striking workers. They're now threatening to fire those who don't return to work, and unions are just digging in their heels. So this showdown is getting nastier and nastier, and if there isn't a resolution anytime soon, it definitely is going to weigh on the currency more and more.
Well, where would you expect the currency to trade in the meantime in the absence of any big market making news?
We'd expect the rand to maintain these sort of 730 levels, Stephen, of course pending the outcome of tomorrow's GDP data. If it moderates in line with what we're expecting, you could see further rand weakness coming through.